Okay, now we're going to do the last part of the circling back one, which is project 3, assigning resource to tasks. So I still have my document open, but I went ahead and saved it with the name of RFP Bank Software Assignments, and of course I put circling back 1, part 3, and my name. Okay, so we actually created some tasks that needed to be done. We established the resources that will be working on the tasks. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have to assign resources to the task. In other words, what this means is now we're going to be assigning people to work on those and complete those tasks. Okay, so the first thing that excuse me, that we have to do is the go into Gantt chart view. You can always see what view you're in by looking over here. We're in the resource sheet. So I just click my little down arrow here and I click on Gantt chart. And now we are in Gantt chart view. And we're going to right click on the task mode column heading. Okay, and we're just going to right click on that and we're just going to hide that column out of the way for now. All right, now we're going to go on to our resource tab. If you're not already on the resource tab, make sure that you click on that. And we are going to activate the resources dialog box, assign resources dialog box. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the assign excuse me, resources dialog box. Okay. Now, before we assign resources, you want to make sure that you have the correct task selected before you assign the resources. So mine have all been selected here because of hiding that other column. So I'm just going to click out of it somewhere. Okay, and then I'm going to select task number 4. Notice up here, task document software requirements does appear up here, so we know we're on the right task. Always be careful about that. Make sure you're assigning the correct people to the correct tasks. All right, so it tells us that we are going to assign Jolynn, Nicole, and the CL user group. Okay, now these do fall in alpha order. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and there's Jolynn. And you can assign them one at a time, but it's easier just to go ahead and look for your next group. I'm going to go back up because it's the CL user group. Hold Control button down on your keyboard. And now you see I have the CL user group selected. And the last person here is going to be Nicole Holiday. So I'm going to hold my control down and select Nicole Holiday. Now before I hit assign, let me move this dialog box out of the way a little bit so you can see here that these people will be assigned to task 4. There we go. Okay, now you can see that they have all been assigned to the task. Okay, now once you have assigned them, you can look down here and see that Nicole is only assigned 50% of the time, so there's a possibility that she's working on another project, or she could be working on a different part of the project later on, and that's why she's only at 50% for the document software requirements task. And Jolynn is 100% allocated for that task, and then the CL user group is also 100% allocated for that task. And remember, in project 2, when we created the CL user group, we put them at maximum units of 600% because those have 6 people in that group, and that's where they're coming up with this cost of $6,400 because they were $100 an hour. And we have 8 days of work here, so that's why the cost on that is quite high. And Jolynn is also working several days on that project, whereas Nicole is only working 50% on that task. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit close, and now we have task 4 assigned. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing for task 5. So let's select task 5, go up to our assign resources, and this time we are going to double check define evaluation criteria. Okay, we have the right task selected, and we are going to go down here and find METI and click and select, hold the control down and find Saeed. Okay, and then we're going to find Nicole. Go back up a little bit here for Nicole, and then also Mike. All right, now we have all of them selected, and we're going to click the assign button. Let me move the dialog box down so you can see how that populates over here. Okay, and there are 4 people assigned to that task, and you can see their allocations here, 100%, and the cost to for them to complete that task. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and I'm going to go ahead on and go through assigning resources to the rest of the tasks, and then we'll come back in and finish this up. All right, now we have completed our assigning resources to the tasks listed in the book on page 122. So we are coming down to step number 10. And what we're going to do here now is we're going to assign additional resources to our tasks, because maybe we went back and looked at these tasks and reviewed them and realized that they needed a little bit more help to complete the task, and or maybe they had to cut some people back on certain days to work on other tasks. So what we're doing here is we are just going to assign other people to the tasks, and so we may change, reduce work hours but keep the same durations, or we might increase the amount of work but keep the same durations, or our other option is reduce the hour resources work per day but keep the same duration and work. So we're going to select task 4. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back up here a little bit and select task 4, and we are going to click on the assign resources dialog box, and now you can see in the box here we're on document software requirements, and you can see already who has been assigned to the task. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a few more people here. So we're going to add Mark. So once again, hold your control and select your other employees, and Kevin. And then the last one is Andrew. And like I said, these are in alpha order, so we have to go back up top. Then we're going to go ahead and click on assign. Now it says there's a problem with this assignment. You cannot have the same resource assigned twice to the same task. So to have the same resource work at different times on the same task, we're going to use resource contouring. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. And then I get my little warning caution sign that comes up here, and I'm going to grab that little drop down arrow right next to it. I'm not going to be clicking on anything yet. Just rest your mouse pointer on there, and then you're going to left click so that you can get your options here, because it's saying that you have added resources to the task. But what do you want to do when you've added these resources? So the first one is stating that we are going to reduce the hours that the resources are working per day. Okay, so we're reducing the hours per day, but we are keeping the same duration and work. So we are going to change it to the last option here. Okay, and now we can go ahead and close out of that group so you can see how it changed. and reassign people, like Nicole's 25%, Mark's 50%, Kevin is 50%, and Joe Lynn, and so forth. All right, so now we're going to go down to number 13, which is task 8, and we're going to do a similar situation here. We're going to click on our assign resources, and we see who's already assigned to the task, and we are going to add Mark to this task. And we're make sure you hold your control key down on the keyboard, and we're going to add Nicole Holiday. Be careful you pick the correct Nicole there. That's very important too, because they might have different pay rates, weekly salary, whatever the case may be. So be really careful that you're choosing the correct resource as well. And the last one is Mike. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and click on assign, and then we will also get our message about the same resource assigned twice to the same task. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click OK, and then you're going to click the little down arrow here. Just rest your mouse pointer over the little caution diamond there and get the down arrow. Okay, now in this case, we are increasing the amount of work, but we are going to keep the same duration. So here we are, it's already chosen for us, increasing the amount of work, but keeping the same duration. So in other words, the work is going to increase for each one of our resources, but they have to still complete it in the same time frame. Okay, so that's what that means there, and we're going to just click on that, and then you can go ahead and close that out. You can scroll over there. Okay. All right, now the last one there is task 17, and we're going to go ahead and select task 17. And we are going to click on the assignments, assign resources, and it's just giving us a message here that says we can leave this open. We don't necessarily have to close it each time. All right, and we are going to add Eli Bowen. And also we're going to add Joe Brown. I'm going to hold my control to add Joe Brown. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to assign. And then we get our little caution icon there and rest our mouse pointer over it. Then we come over and click the little down arrow. And this one is going to be reducing the hours the resources work per day, but we're going to keep the same duration and work. Okay, so that one, we're going to do the same thing there as we did with the first one. Okay, so now we can see here that each person has been assigned 67% of the work instead of maybe 50% or 100% or whatever the case may be. And it recalculated it and made them all come out to about 67%. And also notice that they are using the small conference room as well. And you can go ahead and close out of that. And we are finished with circling back one project 3. So we're going to click on our save, and then you can go ahead and upload your test.